First race that compares in difficulty to some of the other championship events that we're used to gauging everything by in Europe.
It's going to be ushering in American professional cycling. It's not just Americans trying to emulate Europeans, but Americans doing their own brand of professional bicycle racing.
What really is difficult is being able to climb over that hill after you've ridden 120, 130, 140 miles. That's where the best riders are going to come out, and that's where the race is going to happen.
From the city where our nation was born came the birth of a great new sporting event. On Sunday, June 23rd, 1985, the first ever National Road Racing Championship for American professional cyclists hit the streets of this historic city. It was the inaugural CoreStates US Pro Cycling Championship, a $100,000, 156-mile international pro cycling classic.
I had no idea that we would produce in the 6 or 7 months what we've done today. With the Parkway excited about it, Philadelphia excited about it, I think all of my associates excited about it, a race that was absolutely superb.
It's an event that will stand up being the Indianapolis 500 of bike racing, or the Kentucky Derby of bike racing, and that's what we want it to be, the premier event in the sport.
Knock them down and put them on there!
It took months of planning and 2 days of round-the-clock setup by race staff, television crews, and city officials to get everything ready. Like Grand Prix race cars, the $2,000 custom-made racing machines had to be checked over and fine-tuned by expert mechanics.
I think sign-up is over
By
there.
early Sunday morning, everything was in place, and the pros, set for a long day in the saddle, were brought to the line.
Roll down here. Up to the table. Turnabout.
Olympic bronze medalist Davis Finney. Originally from Maryland, Thomas Friend. A special welcome to Eric Hayden.
Thank you, everybody.
Philadelphia's Mayor Wilson Goode got the race underway.
This is the first national in this country, and I'm pleased to have it happen right here in Philadelphia. Have a good race. Thank you all very much.
There was action right from the gun as 75 professional cyclists from 12 nations started out on a circuit that boldly captured the flavor of Philadelphia. The race started and finished on Benjamin Franklin Parkway, a flag-draped promenade symbolic of Philadelphia's international heritage. The pros did 3 opening loops of the Parkway between the majestic Art Museum and Logan Circle before heading out Kelly Drive for the first of 10 14-and-a-half-mile laps. speed scarcely dropped below 30 miles per hour on the tree-lined boulevard that stretches along the banks of the Schuylkill River. Then it was on to Main Street in Manayunk, an area with an Indian name that means flowing waters. Funnel down, a series of quick turns on rough road surface brought the pros to the most testing part of the circuit. The Manayunk Wall, a steep cruncher of a hill that climbed 250 vertical feet in less than 1/2 mile.
Sweat pouring off their face, and they make these real grimace faces. They come up the hill, you think they're going to fall off. They keep going. I mean, they go fast. A lot faster than you think.
After the wall came the 50-mile-an-hour plunge down Manayunk Avenue back to the river and Kelly Drive. Two quick jogs into Strawberry Meadow and Lemon Hill took the pros into the shade of historic Fairmount Park, a quiet respite from the shimmering heat and cheering crowds back on the parkway. It was an exciting course and tailor-made for the special strategies of bike racing.
My strategy basically tomorrow is to try and nurse myself through the distance because it's a very long race. It's 250 kilometers, and I just try and space out my effort. I've been putting all my season into this one race, and I just hope it pays off.
But McCormick, the Irish leprechaun, couldn't hold himself back. Before the riders had completed the opening 5 miles on the parkway, McCormick, with former U.S. amateur champion Matt Eaton, Swiss machine Hans Letterman, Dutchman Rene Valkenburg, and 37-year-old Nigel Dean from Great Britain, had jumped clear of the unconcerned field. There were still 150 miles to go. Swapping pace with fluid precision, the leaders soon build a lead of over 6 minutes. But there were still some 80 miles to pedal, and the recurring effort to climb the Manayunk Wall.
I think that wall is going to be, it's really going to get to the riders later on in the race. It doesn't look too steep at first, but like the last couple of laps, because we do 10 circuits, and near the end of the circuits, it's going to be very hard. It's going to really play on your legs. It's going to be a vital role in the race, the outcome of the race, I think.
I think the hill is not going to so much make the break, is that it's going to select the riders that are going to be there at the end.
Dean was the first to fall behind. Then Letterman, as McCormick and Eden relentlessly pounded up the wall. They were obsessed to win the special King of the Wall prize, a $1,000 bonus offered by Italian racing fan Silvia Trenolanghi, for the rider who sprinted to the summit first the most times. McCormick and Eden's duel entertained the throngs each lap and gave hopeful fans a taste of upset.
Continues to look fantastic every time he comes up the hill, and so does Matt Eaton. And the two of them last time split from their two other riders and made probably the biggest tactical move that we've seen on the course, so far.
The effort by McCormick and Eaton so early in the race seemed almost desperate. Could they keep it up for another 3 hours?
Anything can still happen at this point. You know, they went really early in the event. They took a risk. They took a chance, but they may be able to stay away. But 5 minutes at this point is not a great deal. I've seen it up to 10 or 11 minutes, and they can bring it back pretty fast if they get organized.
While the heroics of Eaton and McCormick played out on the course, the growing crowds all around the circuit were making the day into a bike racing festival.
This is great. This is probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
5 long laps yet to go. McCormick and Eaton have been working hard together in the breakaway for nearly 4 hours. But now there are only 2 of them, and their lead, once at 6 minutes, is melting away. The riders in the chasing group have the advantage of numbers. They take short turns, breaking the wind, and having more time to rest before hitting the front again. It was Eric Heiden, Olympic skater turned pro cyclist, and 7-Eleven teammate Tom Chauner that stirred up the chase group to catch the 2 leaders. Halfway through the 5th lap on Kelly Drive, McCormick and Eaton threw in the towel. They drifted back to the tail end of their pursuers, hoping for some time to recover. The Danes saw the opportunity to push the group's advantage. Jesper Warre, a veteran of the European circuit, attacked hard in Manioc in a determined effort to keep the pressure on. With Eaton and McCormick no longer a threat, Chauner and Heiden had to think about the 7-Eleven team strategy. Should they join the Danish attack or wait for their teammates behind? Chris Carmichael explained the team strategy.
We have basically 2 leaders, Davis, Finney, and Ron Kiefel, and both of those guys are potential winners in this race, and we're just going to try to set it up for either Ron or Davis to win.
As usual, my role has always been to try to help the other guys as much as possible. If there's a breakaway and somebody like Davis Finney or Ron Kiefel's not in there, it's my job to either get those guys into the breakaway or to try to somehow bring the breakaway back into the group.
But as the lead group hammered up the wall for the 7th and 3rd from last time, after nearly 5 hours and over 100 miles of racing, the smell of victory was too strong for Eric Heiden. Heiden's pace at the front put pressure on his rivals. And left poor Alan McCormick, the man who started it all, to struggle on alone. The real race was on. With less than 40 miles to go, the lead group had increased their advantage to over a minute. Now Heiden and Chauner were firmly cast in their team's starring roles. For the first time, the chance to win was theirs. It was time for the 5 leaders to settle into a steady rhythm and press their advantage. They formed a temporary alliance, sharing turns at the front and taking their meals on wheels.
Go through a lot of food. That's one thing you have to keep your body. You expend so much energy that you just have to be constantly eating throughout the whole race. It's amazing the difference between, let's say, amateur distance, which is about 100 miles to 110 miles, and pro distance of above 150 miles, and that's when it really gets hard, is after 100 miles, and that's when you have to be eating a lot. So we probably go through, I don't know, 2 pounds of food each.
And all orders were to go. "25 miles to go, and no sign of weakness by any of the 5 leaders. Just for Warre, the experienced 26-year-old pro from Denmark and Danish team leader Jens Beggerby were both super fit from the recent tour of Italy. Beggerby was primed for the win. 26-year-old rookie pro Tom Brosnowski was getting stronger as the day wore on. Tom Chauner, another new pro, was known by his teammates as the Plowboy, a consistent and dedicated team player whose job now was to protect the chances for a victory in the final sprint by teammate Eric Heiden. Heiden, at 26, became a pro cyclist after winning 5 gold medals in skating at the 1980 Olympics. The transition to bike racing had not been easy, but in the recent tour of Italy, Heiden showed signs of real talent, particularly as a sprint finisher. But for Heiden and the rest of the leaders, there would be no sprint showdown on the Parkway until after one more time of the Manayunk Wall. Brosnowski attacked with everything he had. Now was the time to crack Heiden and at least weaken the others. With little racing experience as a pro in Europe and no teammates to help him, no one expected Brosnowski to show such punch. The fans in Manayunk, some 20,000 of them, were witnessing the high drama of pro bike racing. After 142 miles and nearly 6 hours, Brosnowski's relentless drive to the summit couldn't be matched. He had instantly become the revelation of the race. Only when the steep slope started to ease could Beggerby, then Chauner, rejoin. But the damage had been done. Heiden and Warre were gone. Chauner, ever conscious of his role to protect Heiden, looked back for his dropped teammate. It was 7 miles from the wall to the finish line with only 2 small climbs in between. The chase started with Heiden and Warre nearly a quarter mile behind. Brosnowski kept forcing the pace at the front. Now his best chance for victory was by making sure the odds against him were small. Heiden, now on flat ground where his enormous legs gave him extra power, worked desperately to catch up. Brosnowski continued to force the pace of the 3 leaders. Chauner and Beggerby were content to draft, hoping for reinforcements from behind. As the 3 leaders took the short climb to Strawberry Meadow, Heiden, with Warre in tow, was closing the gap. Brosnowski had to rethink his strategy. He was foolish to waste any more energy at the front, particularly with Heiden and Warre just behind. He eased off. Heiden and Warre closed in. After 5 miles of flat-out effort and with only 2 miles to go to the Parkway, Heiden's 30-mile-per-hour effort paid off. The desperate chase was over, and suddenly, with all 5 of them back together again, it was a whole new bike race. But there were still 5 1.5-mile loops of the Parkway yet to go. The race became a chess match on wheels. Brosnowski, with no teammate, was again odd man out, hoping to be able to play off the battle between the 7-Eleven and Danish teams. Beggerby, willing to keep the pace moving, expected the same from Chauner and an unwilling Eric Heiden. Hayden wanted to save himself for the final sprint, and the Danes had to discuss what to do about it. Hayden's tactic was to sit on the back, letting the others set the pace while he rested. The Danes countered by having Begerby stay near the front to keep tabs on Chauner and Brosnowski. Waray's job was to play Hayden man for man at the back. One short lap to go. Only 1.5 miles remaining in the bike race. The drama was building. The cat and mouse tactics intensified. No rider wanted to take the lead for more than a few pedal strokes. Uneaten food, now merely excess baggage, was thrown off in preparation for the final sprint. Fans from all over the city had jammed the finish line area, hoping for an American victory from Chauner, Brosnowski, or Hayden. The winner would definitely come from the 5 leaders. The closest chasing group was over a half mile behind and just beginning their last lap. Logan Circle and starting up the final stretch, it was still Chauner, Begerby, and Brosnowski setting the pace. Hayden, ever shadowed by Waray, was still at the back. With a 1/4 mile to go, Brosnowski found himself in the awkward position of being at the front. Chauner and Begerby were also forced to look over their shoulders. Hayden wanted the position of surprise. He eased slightly on the pedals, allowing Waray to drift past. As the Dane looked away, Hayden pounced. His powerful jump to the inside couldn't be matched. Chauner yanked his foot and nearly went down. Hayden's powerful legs quickly shot him into the lead. The Danes and Brosnowski tried desperately to close, but it was Eric Hayden that shot across the line first, arms raised in triumph.
Myself, but the course was a course that I thought I could do well on. It was just that I had to make it over that hill the last time, and I staggered over it and came off and was able to catch up on last time into the short course. And then Tom Chauner, who was my teammate, did all the leading for me, and I just got a chance to rest the last 5 or 10K until the sprint came up. I've ridden in national championships, and then to have this at professional level with all these Europeans here is...